The bus squealed to a stop, its brakes groaning a tired greeting at the corner of Hill Street and Magnolia Avenue. Keisha climbed aboard, wading through a sea of passengers as the driver announced each stop in a familiar, steady rhythm. She held her backpack tight, its edges frayed and the zipper barely hanging on. A long day at Jefferson Middle School had left her exhausted, but a curious, kind spark still lit her eyes. As the bus lurched forward, Keisha noticed an elderly woman mid-aisle. Her silver hair was tucked neatly under a floral scarf, and she leaned heavily on a cane. The woman, wearing a faded but clean dress, swayed with every jolt, her knuckles white as she gripped the overhead rail. Every seat was taken, but no one seemed to notice her struggle. Keisha's tired legs longed for the empty space next to her, but the sight of the woman decided for her. She stood and gestured toward the seat. "Here, ma'am. You can have this." The woman turned, her eyes softening into a grateful smile. "Thank you, young lady," she said, sighing faintly as she eased herself down. "That's very kind of you." "It's no problem," Keisha replied, holding onto the pole as the bus rattled on. The woman's gaze lingered on Keisha, her worn-out shoes and the way she clutched her bag, as if it held a treasure more precious than school books. "What's your name, sweetheart?" she asked gently. "Keisha," she said, her voice light and clear. "And I'm Miss Evelyn," the woman replied. "It's nice to meet you, Keisha. Not many young people would do what you just did." Keisha shrugged, a small smile on her face. "My mom says it's just the right thing to do." Miss Evelyn chuckled softly. "She raised you well." The bus slowed at the next stop, more people crowding into the tight space. Keisha held on tighter, swaying with the motion, but she didn't mind. Something about Miss Evelyn's presence felt warm, like sitting by a fire on a cold night. "Do you take this bus often?" Miss Evelyn asked. Keisha nodded. "Every day after school. I live a little past Oakmont Avenue. Jefferson Middle School, I'm guessing?" Miss Evelyn's eyes twinkled. "Yeah," Keisha said, surprised. "How did you know?" "My granddaughter went there years ago." Miss Evelyn's voice softened. "Fine school. She wanted to be a doctor too, just like you." Keisha blinked. "How do you know that?" Miss Evelyn smiled knowingly. "I can tell by the way you carry yourself. You have that spark, my dear. The kind that doesn't burn out easily." Keisha's cheeks warmed, but before she could reply, the bus stopped again. A few people shuffled off, giving her a bit more room. As they rode on, Miss Evelyn glanced at Keisha's bag. "You look like you've got a lot on your plate," she said, her voice quiet but perceptive. "Big dreams take a lot of work, don't they?" Keisha hesitated, struck by the stranger's words. "Yeah," she finally admitted. "They do." She instinctively hugged her bag closer. She wanted to share, but her dreams felt fragile, like a delicate flame easily snuffed out by reality. Still, Miss Evelyn's gentle demeanor drew her in. "I've always wanted to be a doctor," Keisha said, her voice barely above the bus's hum. "But it's hard to even think about sometimes. My mom works 2 jobs just to keep us afloat and college feels so far away." Miss Evelyn nodded slowly, her eyes filled with a deep understanding, not pity. "Dreams like that aren't easy," she said, "but the ones that matter never are." Keisha smiled faintly. "That's what my mom says too." "She's a wise woman," Miss Evelyn replied. "And you've got that fire in you. It's the kind that doesn't just light your own path, it lights the way for others too." Keisha looked out the window, her neighborhood streets blurring by. "Sometimes I think about giving up," she admitted. "But then I remember my little brother. He always says he wants to be like me when he grows up. I don't want to let him down." Miss Evelyn placed a hand on Keisha's arm, her grip surprisingly firm. "You won't," she said with conviction. "As long as you keep moving forward, you're already setting an example." The bus jostled again and Miss Evelyn adjusted her position. She rummaged through her oversized handbag and pulled out a small, plain envelope. "Here," she said, extending it. "This is for you." Keisha stared at the envelope, hesitant. "What is it?" Miss Evelyn smiled mysteriously. "Let's just say it's something that might help you on your journey. Open it when you get home." Keisha's fingers closed around the envelope. "I can't." "You can," Miss Evelyn interrupted gently but firmly. "And you will. Promise me you'll open it." Keisha nodded, tucking the envelope into her bag. "Hey, I promise." The bus neared Miss Evelyn's stop. She stood, leaning on her cane, and gave Keisha one last look. You've got a bright future ahead, Keisha. Don't let anyone dim it. Keisha watched as Miss Evelyn made her way to the door, her floral scarf fluttering. For a moment the bus felt silent as if everyone else had vanished. As it pulled away, Keisha clutched her bag tightly. Whatever was inside that envelope, she knew it was something important. Something that might change everything. Keisha bounded up the steps to her family's small townhouse, the envelope safe in her bag. The evening sun cast long shadows and the scent of her mom's cooking filled the air. Her little brother Jordan greeted her at the door, bouncing with energy. "What took you so long?" he asked, tugging at her sleeve. "Just the bus," Keisha replied, patting his head as she stepped inside. "How was school?" Jordan groaned. "Boring, but I made a volcano in science. Mom said you'd help me finish it." "Sure thing," she said with a grin. "But later, okay?" Jordan nodded, running off to the kitchen. Keisha slipped into her room and closed the door. She pulled the envelope from her bag, turning it over in her hands. It was plain, with no markings, yet it felt as though it had been meant for her all along. Taking a deep breath, she tore it open. Inside was a folded letter and a certificate. She unfolded the letter first, her heart pounding as she read the delicate handwriting. "Dear Keisha, sometimes in life we meet people who remind us of what truly matters. Today you reminded me of kindness, resilience, and the beauty of chasing dreams even when the odds are against you. This scholarship is in memory of my daughter Mariah, who dreamed of being a doctor just like you. She didn't get the chance to fulfill that dream, but I see her same spark in you. I hope this can help you take one step closer to everything you deserve. The world needs more people like you. Never stop believing in yourself. With love, Miss Evelyn." Keisha blinked back tears as she unfolded the second paper. A scholarship certificate for $5,000, issued through a foundation named after Miss Evelyn's daughter. Her hands trembled, the weight of the gesture sinking in. Her mind swirled with disbelief, gratitude, and a feeling she hadn't known in a long time. Hope. The kind of hope that made her think maybe, just maybe, her dreams weren't so far away after all. For a moment she sat in stunned silence. Then she grabbed her phone and found Miss Evelyn's contact information on the letter. She had to thank her. She had to do something to show how much this meant. But first she needed to share this moment with her family. Keisha burst into the kitchen, clutching the papers. Her mom, a tall woman with tired eyes but unmistakable strength, turned from the stove, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Keisha, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." "Mom," Keisha's voice trembled. "You have to see this." She spread the papers on the small kitchen table. Jordan abandoned his volcano project to peek. Keisha watched as her mom's expression shifted from confusion to surprise, then to a soft mix of pride and tears. "Who is Miss Evelyn?" her mom asked quietly, tracing the edge of the certificate. "She's an older lady I met on the bus today," Keisha explained. "I gave her my seat and we talked, and then she gave me this envelope when she got off." Her mom sat down slowly, as if the weight of the moment was sinking in. "She just gave this to you?" Keisha nodded, still barely believing it herself. "She said it was in memory of her daughter who wanted to be a doctor too. Mom, this could help. This could really help." Jordan looked at his sister wide-eyed. "Does this mean you're going to be a doctor now?" Keisha crouched down beside him, ruffling his hair. "It means I have a chance," she said softly. "A real chance." Her mom reached over and took Keisha's hand, her grip firm and full of warmth. "You deserve this," she said. "Every bit of it. And you're going to make her proud, Keisha. I know you will." Keisha swallowed the lump in her throat. "I need to call her," she said. "To thank her." Her mom smiled. "You should. But take your time. Let yourself feel this first." That night, as the house settled, Keisha sat on her bed, phone in hand. The number on the letter felt intimidating, but she couldn't let her gratitude go unsaid. After a deep breath, she dialed. The phone rang twice before a warm, calm voice answered. "This is Evelyn." "Miss Evelyn, it's Keisha. From the bus earlier today," Keisha said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Well, hello there, Keisha," Miss Evelyn replied, her tone lighting up. "I wondered if I'd hear from you." I don't even know where to start," Keisha began, gripping the phone tighter. "Thank you doesn't feel like enough." Miss Evelyn chuckled softly. "You don't owe me anything, my dear. Seeing someone like you take the first steps toward their dreams is thanks enough." Keisha's chest tightened. "I promise I won't waste this. I'll do everything I can to make you proud. I already am, Miss Evelyn said gently. But remember, this is just the beginning. The rest is up to you. The days that followed felt like a dream. Miss Evelyn's act of kindness was more than a gesture. It was a lifeline. Over the next week they exchanged calls and texts, their bond growing. What started as a polite thank you evolved into a mentorship, a friendship, and a connection Keisha hadn't known she needed. On a chilly Saturday morning, Miss Evelyn invited Keisha to her cozy home on Westfield Street, with its front yard overflowing with blooms. Keisha was greeted by the scent of fresh-baked cookies and the warm embrace of a woman who felt like family. You didn't have to do all this, Keisha said, her eyes widening at the living room filled with photos and knitted throws. Nonsense, Miss Evelyn replied with a chuckle. A guest deserves a proper welcome. Besides, I've been wanting to hear more about you. They sat at the dining table with cookies and 2 steaming cups of tea. Keisha shared stories about her life, her mother's sacrifices, her brother's curiosity, and her own dreams of becoming a pediatrician. Miss Evelyn listened intently, nodding at all the right moments. You remind me so much of Mariah, Miss Evelyn said softly, her voice tinged with pride and sorrow. She was the kind of person who believed in lifting others up no matter what. Can I ask what happened to her? Keisha hesitated. Miss Evelyn's gaze dropped to her cup. Mariah passed away 5 years ago in a car accident. She was on her way to volunteer at a free clinic. Keisha's heart ached at the quiet strength in Miss Evelyn's voice. I'm so sorry. She was my light, Miss Evelyn continued. But I've learned that light doesn't die. It just finds new ways to shine. And when I met you, I felt that same light in you. The room fell quiet. Keisha reached across the table and took Miss Evelyn's hand. I won't let you down, she said firmly. I'll do everything I can to make this count. Miss Evelyn smiled, her eyes glistening. I know you will, my dear. I wouldn't have given it to you otherwise. As the day wore on, Miss Evelyn shared stories from her own life. Keisha soaked in every word, feeling like she wasn't just being taught but being passed a torch. When it was time to leave, Miss Evelyn gave Keisha a small book from her shelf. This was Mariah's favorite, she said. I think you'll find some inspiration in it. Keisha hugged her tightly. Thank you, Miss Evelyn. For everything. Walking home, the book tucked under her arm, Keisha felt an unshakable sense of purpose. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about honoring a legacy. Over the next few months, Keisha threw herself into her studies with renewed determination. Miss Evelyn's support wasn't just financial. It was a constant source of encouragement. They spoke regularly, and Miss Evelyn's words became a compass, guiding Keisha through moments of doubt and exhaustion. At school, her teachers noticed the change. Keisha's focus sharpened, her grades improved, and her confidence grew. She spent extra hours in the library, poring over science books and medical journals. It wasn't easy, her family's struggles hadn't vanished, but now every challenge felt like a step closer to something bigger. One afternoon, Keisha decided to share her story with her science teacher, Mr. Bernard. She pulled him aside after class, her scholarship certificate in hand. That's incredible, Keisha, he said when she finished. You're living proof that generosity can make all the difference. If you ever need anything, recommendations, study materials, you name it, you just let me know. Encouraged, Keisha began reaching out to other mentors, building a network of people who believed in her potential. Each new connection felt like another brick in the foundation Miss Evelyn had helped her lay. As Keisha grew, so did the impact of Miss Evelyn's gesture. Keisha's story spread, inspiring others to support young people with big dreams. Local organizations offered resources and mentorships to students in need. Even the smallest acts of kindness, donated books, free tutoring started creating waves. Keisha, now a high school senior, began volunteering at a local community center, tutoring younger kids who reminded her of Jordan. She told them about her journey, always crediting Miss Evelyn for the spark that ignited it all. The kids listened wide-eyed as she encouraged them to dream big, no matter their circumstances. By the time Keisha graduated at the top of her class, her path to medical school was clear. Miss Evelyn sat proudly in the front row at the ceremony, her floral scarf standing out in the crowd. When Keisha took the stage to deliver her valedictorian speech, she paused, her eyes meeting Miss Evelyn's. This moment isn't just mine, Keisha said, her voice steady. It belongs to everyone who's ever believed in me even when I struggled to believe in myself. It belongs to my mom, my little brother, and especially to Miss Evelyn, whose kindness showed me that even the smallest gestures can change a life." The applause that followed was thunderous, but Miss Evelyn didn't clap. She simply smiled, her heart full. Years later, Dr. Keisha Simmons stood in her white coat at the opening of her own pediatric clinic. Miss Evelyn was there, sitting in the front row, her cane beside her. Keisha had named the clinic after Mariah, a tribute to the legacy that had paved her way. As she cut the ribbon, surrounded by her family, friends, and community, Keisha reflected on how far she had come. It had all started with a single moment on a crowded bus. A moment that reminded her and everyone who heard her story of the transformative power of kindness. Because in the end, it wasn't just about achieving her dreams. It was about using them to light the way for others, just as Miss Evelyn had done for her.